What's up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Game, your source for the world of video games. You can always join the show. All you have to do is head over to insidethegame.ca or hit us up in Discord, where there you can submit your clip and end off our show. What's coming up on today's episode? Here it is. It's the rundown.
You said so. Yeah. The whole premise here is that you're a crow, essentially a grim reaper of sorts.
Then obviously the main screen comes on, and I love the music, the title, the intro music.
The storyline for this game is absolutely the standout.
Alright, it's my favorite time of week again, guys. Rainbow Six Siege North American Pro League. Except Stage 2 now has come to a wrap, guys. Playday 9 was it.
Oh, I have to say, start off, it doesn't make it easy to find the events. Because I actually had to Google it, because it did say in your task menu, it didn't actually say Cosmic Cube.
Yeah.
And it's like,
whether it be, controllers of some kind, or just using an external controller completely and just setting up the tablet as a screen. Well, the company GameSir has released an F7 claw controllers that actually click onto the side of your device.
Well, it's another loaded show, so let's get started as Cory and I are knocking on death's door.
Drew, this week we're knocking on death's door. Alright, Drew, ominous intro aside, we're checking out Death's Door this week on the Xbox Series X. This one was a really cool game. It's kind of like a roguelite adventure game. I'm pulling a lot of similarities to like a Legend of Zelda style game from, way back when. Very nostalgic feel to this one. I had a lot of fun jumping in. What did you think?
I had a lot of fun too. Honestly, I thought it was very accessible, very easy to get started. And then once you found yourself getting started, you then found yourself exploring to kind of recircle back into areas and kind of lose yourself as to where you were and where your objective is headed in the next direction. You and I were just talking off camera, the fact that honestly, I love the game, but there's only one complaint I have for the entire thing, Cory, is that I wanted a map. Dude, if I had a map, right, I honestly probably could have cut my time in half. I think is really what it kind of boils down to. But at the same side of it too, right? You want to go out and explore so you can run into more enemies. And as you kill these enemies, you earn these little orbs that allow you to spend on upgrade points. And to upgrade your little crow, dude, is a grind. Personally though, I think Death's Door is awesome. It's a fantastic thing. It's just really just missing that map for me. How about you?
Oh, you know what? I can feel you. Definitely as you start playing through this game, it's one of those, styles of games where you do a lot of backtracking, like you said. So the whole premise here is that you're a crow, essentially a grim reaper of sorts. And we've been tasked to take down these 3 giant monsters and reap their souls so we can unlock Death's Door and help out a crow that's been kind of trapped in the world that we're currently in. And, you go on some pretty intense adventures through some pretty beautiful landscapes in this game. I thought visually this game looked amazing. The way you kind of traverse through some of these lands, you're going from platform to platform, from screen to screen, in caves, you're kind of all over the place. But like you said, without a map, it does get a little repetitive in the sense like, did I pass that already? Am I going in a circle? And because there is so much backtracking in this game, especially as you earn certain abilities throughout this game you'll unlock, I'm going to call them Zelda-like abilities. I mean, we get hook shots, there's kind of a fire shot ability, a bow and arrow. I mean, there's a lot of similarities here, but again, it's kind of what makes this game so good and so solid. The control scheme I thought was fairly simple, but very difficult to master because the roguelite element here is that we only can take so many hits before we die, and depending on where we died, we actually might have to backtrack pretty far and get reset. And that was definitely one of the more disheartening things with this game, Drew, because the difficulty level was fairly high. I found that more often than not, you get into certain screens where there's quite a few enemies, and it's like, holy cow, like you start to get a little overwhelmed. But then when I got into the boss battles, man, the difficulty level just skyrocketed. I had such a hard time getting through these bosses. But I mean, overall, it still was a really fun, awesome experience. And I just, between the visuals and the audio, I was just so kind of immersed in this game. I just kind of wanted to keep charging forward.
Dude, you mentioned the audio. Honestly, Death's Door audio is one of the best soundtracks, ambiances within a game that I've heard this year.
Yeah.
It is fantastic. I honestly kind of caught myself just listening to the game. And that's all I was doing. I wasn't even moving on screen. I was just kind of sitting in place, listening to it. You have certain like subtle tones all of a sudden kind of creep in just out of nowhere, but it was so soothing. And yet you get into this big fight and all of a sudden you get, like you said, you get swarmed by all these creatures. I think the creature design too was fantastic. Shout out to Pothead. I thought was kind of funny.
Oh, it's too funny, man.
Right? The comical relief in the game is there as well. But when you get surrounded and you just kind of scrape past the battle and go, whew, man, I had one hit left and I just squeaked that out. Like it was, it's such a cool game. The art style, Corey, I knew this was all ours, man.
Oh yeah.
Had to take it, right? It's definitely our vibe when it comes to this art direction. It even caught my girlfriend off guard. She's watching me play. She goes, "This is cool." I'm like, I know. Like, Death's Door is a blast to play. I can't recommend this thing enough, man. Everybody should be checking this one out for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Corey, I just mentioned it, dude. The audio in this game is fantastic, and this is going to roll into my score as well with a 9. I got to give it a high one. This game is so cool. Probably one of the best games we've seen so far this year.
You know what, man? I've got to agree. I had so much fun playing this game, other than the fact that maybe a little more direction or a map would definitely have helped, but I still had a ton of fun playing through this adventure. Like I said, the boss battles were hard, but so rewarding when you finally got it. I'm right there with you with a 9.
Nice.
Great visuals and audio guide you through this dark adventure. With a solid combat system and easy controls to pick up, you'll find yourself slaying monsters in no time. But a mini-map would have been nice.
Well, Steve, we're here to talk about the Halo Infinite test beta flight of sorts that we got a chance to take a look at. This is the first time it's been offered, and let's go over some of the things that maybe stood out or maybe were disappointing, but let's kick this off. What were your first impressions jumping into this?
Well, first off, I knew there was going to be issues with server problems, as they already highlighted this, and you get the game for the Inside Hub. And when I sort of started the game, it actually said I wasn't authorized, so I had to do a hard restart on the Xbox. But once I got through that sort of little barrier, then obviously the main screen comes on, and I love the music, the intro music, and away you go. How did you get on with the server issues? Did you have any, or did you experience any?
I did, actually. When I joined in, I had the same kind of error screen you did, actually. And I thought, oh no, what if I didn't register properly? What's happened? But the next time I went to attempt it, it totally worked. And there was some server issues beyond that, though. When I got into the game, several games in, I would have a disconnect, or I would experience a lot of lag. But this is a test server issue. They're testing and putting a lot of load on these servers just to detect these problems. That's kind of the point. So it's hard to hold that against it, because once I got into it, it met me with that Halo action that I'm used to, and not like Halo in the way of 4 and 5. It was more like Halo 3, and I think that's what a lot of people are really clamoring for.
Yes, and like I was saying, like when you start off on the main screen, you get the multiplayer, but you also get like a training ground where you can actually test all the different weapons that's on offer in this test. And I have to say, I did like the mechanics of the weapons. I've noticed an improvement from the previous Halo. that they've really worked hard on the actual gunfire and the mechanics of the guns and the weapons.
Everything seems to have a little bit more weight, so it's a little slower, but that gives your weapon a little heavier of a feeling. And there's a lot of different things on display for the test range. That's why they included it. There's several new kinds of guns that they're adding. This is the first time we're seeing things like the Ravager or the Commando rifle. There's a lot of these different things. They do fit into normal video game tropes, though. For example, the Ravager, I believe, is just basically a railgun. We've seen railguns in Halo before, so some of it seems kind of new, but it doesn't seem to be taking any risky decisions. There's just kind of the weapons you would expect to find.
That's right. And the other thing I did like on the touch in this beta as well was they actually give you like a bit of an insight of like the vehicles that's coming later on, and they've added a lot more customization for your character. So it's not just like red and blue, multi-colors, more fluorescently like blue colors, reds, greens, which I thought was a nice touch. So, and then obviously they give you credit as well that you can actually purchase or upgrade your Spartan, so to speak, sort of like with the helmets, the knee pads, even prosthetic legs. You can even put them on, and arms. So I did like that. It was a nice little touch of giving insight, and that might come out in the next beta, which I'm looking forward to. But let's now get into the gameplay itself. How did you find that?
Well, I liked that it was a return to normal, Halo 3 that is, where everything's a little heavier, a little more grounded. In 4 and 5 it got much quicker, and it didn't sit well with a lot of fans. But I think this one does a good job of bringing that back, that Halo 3 action. A little slower, a little more methodical. And everything was feeling really good. All these new weapons are pretty interesting, pretty good to use. You're fighting bots. That's worth mentioning. It's not quite a PvP scenario yet.
No.
But that is supposed to come in later betas. So we're just checking this out with bots, and they get pretty tough. So it was a pretty good pushback. I met some resistance. It was pretty good.
No, I was going to really sort of touch on what you were just saying there, because it was over, I believe, 3 or 4 days. And what I did notice was the first time I jumped on, I thought, I feel like I'm pretty good at this game. But then the next day, they sort of cranked up the AIs, and they were ruthless. It was harder to kill. I noticed they were sort of more like in packs as well. When you sort of like you start off like the first part of the game, and you sort of go around a corner and you see all 4 of them there, and they're just throwing grenades. Grenades that, you've got no chance on that front. But I did also notice as well is each map was different on the weapon location, or they changed the weapons, because there was 3 maps over the 3 days or the course of the test.
Yeah.
And the weapons sort of changed around a bit. You didn't always get the sniper rifle in the tower, or the shotgun. It could be the heat wave or a new weapon, which I thought was good. So that made it more interesting as well, that you weren't getting the same weapon each time a map loaded up.
Yeah, that's sort of a new thing for Halo. If they're switching weapon spawns and stuff like that, that's a little bit of creative changes happening, and that might be something that's exciting.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing I found by accident is you can actually drop your weapon as well, which I believe was never in a Halo game. So, and I had to read up on it because I thought, what just happened? Where's my gun? I've dropped on the floor. And you can actually when you pick up weapons and you've got something a bit more powerful, but you're inexperienced, you can actually drop the weapon for your teammate that knows how to use it, and then you can, it's all team-based.
That's cool.
Which points me into sort of the idea of like, I didn't have no one talking to me on mics. I don't know if everyone's moved. I found a lot of the people you teamed up with, they just went off and done their own thing. Which I found a bit frustrating. I had my mic ready to go. I thought we would do this like a tactical team and get in there, but everyone's just going off and doing their own thing, which I did find a bit frustrating sometimes, because I know this is a team-based game, and especially when the bots or the AIs were as powerful as they were, you can't take them out by yourself.
Yeah, you really have to stick together. They did show that very well. Those bots are punishing.
Yes.
Well, that was just a little bit of what we had to think about after playing this Halo Flight. Now, it was pretty exciting for me to check out what's new, what's old, and I'm still looking forward to the Halo Infinite release, especially now. But do you think this beta was effective, Steve? Did this get you hyped for the game?
Definitely, very much. I love the whole gameplay itself. Everything, visually it looks nice. I like the music in the background, sort of keep it going.
Oh yeah.
I found the respawning was quick as well. I know there was some server issues, but it was still pretty quick. And especially when they had how many participants in this beta test over the weekend. So I'm really looking forward to playing this game and the campaign and checking out the vehicles and the next beta test.
Oh yeah.
Earn more kills than your opponents to win.
They say you should never judge a book by its cover, but today we are judging Black Book. I'm here to talk about Black Book. Now, I'm playing this over on the Xbox Series X, and this is kind of an interesting game because it doesn't quite work the way it first appears. You're met in the announcement trailer with a lot of really interesting art, but what's not exactly clear is that this is a point-and-click game mixed with a card battling system. For those who aren't quite familiar with card battling systems, this gives you a handful of cards chosen at random through your deck. The deck is something that you're able to customize and pick and choose what your defense cards or attack cards are. And then in each battle, it plays out in a turn-based kind of setting where you send your cards towards the enemy can respond in tune with the same or different cards, and you each have a life bar. When it's over, somebody is declared the winner. Now, that's just the battling system. The rest of the game is all a point-and-click type of adventure game. Now, that's something that I'm not super familiar with, but getting into this one as one of my first attempts at this genre, it actually hit me pretty well, I have to say. The storyline for this game is absolutely the standout. You are put in the place of this young girl as she ascends these ranks up to a witch. Now, the story is told through a lot of different characters, and everything is really well voice acted as well. So it kind of blends into this nice storytelling element. It feels almost as though you're playing a movie out, but the subject matter of the story is really interesting and what kept me in the game. Despite its slow progress, the game action-wise is quite slow. The card battles are very interesting, but between there, you can easily get lost kind of exploring the world, not really doing your objectives, and just kind of spending time taking in the scenery. The storyline and the environment and the scenery, it all centers around, I believe, some Russian Slavic mythology surrounding witchcraft, demons, and that kind of thing. It's really cool for me. Now, just before I move on to other things, I want to address the point-and-click adventure part of this game is actually really involved. It's not something that I'm familiar with, so I don't know how this compares to others in the same genre, but you're able to explore this overworld, pick and choose what kind of locations you move along to, and each one of them seems to have some sort of event that plays out. You may find some innocent people that need help. You might just find demons that you have to fight to progress. But each of these locations that you jump into are pretty open and expansive, and you have a lot of different options for how you want to progress through it. For example, there's one mill tower that you can climb in through the side window and take a little bit of health, or if you're good and explore the area first, you find an old axe that you can use to break the lock of the main door. So some of it has a pretty straightforward answer, but other parts of the game have you being creative and trying to find the easier way through the level. For the card battling system, I want to address the difficulty. This game is very customizable. As you go through the adventure, you can get more cards, you can create cards, you can destroy them in favor of other cards, and you always have this deck that you can flip out. It has to have a minimum of 13 cards in it, but that allows you to strategize and kind of work different cards with each other to get better effects. It is quite interesting, but when you come up to fighting a demon, a lot of the times their health bar is really big, and yours is quite small. And you have to really play intelligently. You can't just mess around with your turns, otherwise you're gonna be stuck at that wall for quite a while. I mentioned the voice acting before, and that's something that I want to circle back around to, because this game is entirely voice acted, and there are so many characters, so many interactions, lots of dialogue to go through, and the voice acting was done in really good quality. I really appreciate that there was voice acting, first of all, because reading this would have slowed the whole pace of the game down. And with the story that they're telling, it's much better to have that voice actor telling you and narrating what's going on, dealing with each other. It's much more effective than if you were left to read it alone. Otherwise, production level on this game seems very high quality. It's not hyper realistic, and that's of course not the focus. It's very obvious early on that there's sort of a Tim Burton dark cartoon look to everything, and that's something that I really appreciate because it matches the demons, the world, the lore that you're dealing with. It matches that very well. I don't want to get into too much more about the story or the game really without getting into spoilers, and this is a very much adventure for an individual to go through. It's hard for me to impress on you what things work and what don't as in regards to the story. It's really up to each player to kind of find their interest in it and maneuver through it that way. If I'm gonna sum this up and put a nice little score on it, I have to point out the things I enjoy. This is a new genre to me, and it was quite slow, but it did have enough action to it, and the story is really what leads the experience. That's a super good positive in my books. The voice acting was really well done, and I like the different range of characters that you go through. The world looks really cool and dark, and you're dealing with demons. It's really interesting. It's exactly my sort of aesthetic. But if I'm going to put a nice number on this one, I believe this is a 7. It is going to push away a lot of people because it's slow paced, but if you can stick with it, there is quite a good game here. Black Book is a very story-centric point-and-click adventure game with great audio and visual value.
Alright, it's my favorite time of week again, guys. Rainbow Six Siege North American Pro League. Except Stage 2 now has come to a wrap, guys. Playday 9 was it. And it was filled with some exciting matches. Unfortunately, though, the first match between Space Station Gaming and Beast Coast, it never happened. Beast Coast, they forfeited the match, and this just gave SSG another 3 points, and I completely understand. Beast Coast, this is a good time for them to kind of reevaluate their strategy and just work on what needs to be fixed. But heading into the other 3 matches, wow, we had some crazy games, guys. Heading into match 1, we had an important one between Xset and Dark Zero on Consulate. There wasn't any hope for Xset to make the playoffs with this game, but for Dark Zero, they needed to secure this victory. And guys, for the first half of this match, I was genuinely concerned for Dark Zero because them being tied at 3-3 after the first half, well, that speaks for itself. Dark Zero has forced almost every single match they've played into overtime, and if they had done it here yet again, their hope for the playoffs was gone. But once Dark Zero shifted into 4th gear in that second half, it was apparent that they wanted this. The second half brought some really intense plays, but ultimately DZ won it with a 7-4 victory, their first actual full win in Stage 2, guys.
Out trying to save Xset's chances inside of this matchup, but it's not looking good. However, he downs Panba, an incredibly aggressive move from him, and now Creators has the window he needs to at least attempt to put this case down on the ground. Interrupts it though. He's gonna try to go for the frag against Hyper instead. Hyper knows this, he sits back. He just has to wait these few seconds, and here's the aggressive attempt. It does not work out. The time runs out instead, and Dark Zero get their first regulation win of the stage.
Congrats.
Match 2's outcome came to me at a bit of a surprise. This match had no real effect on whether or not these teams were going to Mexico. OXG was well below the 4th place team in points, and TSM was sitting in 2nd with no threat of losing their position. But Oxygen, they put up a hell of a fight, so much so that TSM lost 7-3 on Oregon. But after the second round, when Geometrics for TSM busted out one of the most clutch plays of the stage, I was really guessing how the rest of this game would turn out.
You can hear the Scorpion go off for Geo as he's now going to play Ring Around the Rosie with them. Looks to his left, looks to his right. Does he hear him creeping up on him? They're a lot closer than he thinks. He can connect a little bit, but that guns might as well be firing Nerf bullets. Pulls out the pistol. Damage done to his back. He's on 1 HP on the ground. Oh my God, Geo! He somehow pulls that one out of nowhere, and he gives TSM the round.
But after Oxygen secured 4 wins in a row, putting the score at 5-2, there was no doubt in my mind that Oxygen was making a statement that they will be around for next stage and that they are an actual formidable force.
Is he doesn't have access to that diffuser. He knows that there's one, and a beautiful shot from him. He takes down Merc. And we see a clutch this time around, simply on the shoulders of Foxe. If not, it's Chala to win. Grenade goes out. Explosion goes off. 20 seconds left. Chala's still playing on this angle, but Foxe is better. Goodness gracious. It's a clutch this time from OXG, and they have the lead in the match.
But the final match, guys, the most exciting one of the day, a match that couldn't have been set up more perfect than it was. 2 teams in battle for the 3rd place position. DZ's win earlier secured their position in 4th place, but between Disrupt and Sonics being neck and neck in points, both of these teams needed this win to be able to go to Mexico in a few weeks. And right away it was intense. After the first half being tied 3-3, I didn't know what to expect. Disrupt as a whole was playing very well in my opinion, not having any individual player pop off, but Sonic's key players like Rexon and Grixer, they were showing up, with Rexon having a 15-7 match. This player right here deserved again MVP of the day as he secured Sonics the win in the last round as he was forced to clutch the match in a 3v1.
Get as quickly as he can to his teammates. Super pops up, outdueled by Retro Cans and firing away. He's taken down. It'll need to be Rexon to play a hero. And he's getting a ping. He sees him, but can he get the position? Yes, he can. And the Sonics will get their spot at the Mexico Major. They take it 7-4.
Massive plays from Rexon. The cautious approach to that retake upstairs pays dividends. As you so often like to say, Parker, beautiful reactions to the situation. Rexon navigates that as well as you possibly can. And it was a little bit scary there at the end because you can't look directly down in Siege. I was kind of worried, but he figured it out. He navigated those metal beams, and Sonics are going to Mexico.
But there you have it, guys. Stage 2 has come to a wrap. SSG, TSM, Sonics, and Dark Zero all going to Mexico in a few weeks. So, for the other teams, good luck next stage. You have all played incredibly well and have brought some of the most entertaining Siege I have had the pleasure of covering. And huge shout out to Hot and Cold and Rexon for being tied with the most points in Stage 2 for North America. And both of you, in my opinion, are the MVPs in Stage 2. But I'll see you guys in a few weeks with some more Siege coverage. Between August 16th and the 22nd is this worldwide event being held in Mexico. Yes, it's being held in North America for the first time with this event. This is truly exciting. So hopefully our 4 teams from North America can represent ourselves and take down the rest of the world.
Steve, here we go, buddy. We're heading back to the Avengers. We're going with the Cosmic Cube.
The world doesn't need Avengers. AIM will save this world. I will save it.
There is no end to these clones. You don't understand what that cube is capable of.
Steve, you and I have been on this roller coaster of a ride with Marvel's Avengers, and we're back yet again. Dude, we seem to get pulled back in for one piece of DLC or another storyline, this, that, and the other. And you know what? Monica is back with the Cosmic Cube. Dude, what did you think about this little adventure?
Oh, I have to say, start off, it doesn't make it easy to find the events. Because I actually had to Google it because it did say in your task menu, it didn't actually say Cosmic Cube.
Yeah.
And it was like, and because I still had quite a few events to do, my whole screen was full of loads of different ones and I didn't know which one to do. But to be honest with you, when I got onto it, I really enjoyed it. I like the way how they're doing the story in little snippets.
Yeah.
Like piecing it all together.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, I did have to do a bit of a grind to get to the level to play this as well. I think I was only on level 45 and I think I had to get over to 100.
Yeah.
So I got a bit of a grind on that one, but to be honest with you, I did enjoy this one very much.
I had a great time jumping back in too. I think that's what Marvel's Avengers does so well, is that it's the core mechanic of the game is so enjoyable to play. And then they give you little tidbits of information and gameplay to go back into the game, and then you're back in there for a short time, right? Like there's things now that when I'm jumping back in, I'm like, man, they've done a lot of updating to this game. Like they've really done a ton of stuff because, like you say, right? You pull up this menu and you're looking for this latest event, the Cosmic Cube, and you're going, where do I find this thing? I think that's one of the biggest struggles with the game is the confusion of the latest events. They need to put that on top, on a highlight reel of some sort, going, you want to play the latest event? Boom, here it is, right?
Yeah.
This is the easiest way to find this Cosmic Cube, which isn't, like you say, right? It's against all odds is the title of the actual story point. I'm like, well, man, that has nothing to do with what you guys been calling this the entire time. So how about some clarity here, please? Because it would have been a lot easier for us to figure it out. But going in, dude, you got a good point. You got to be up there, right? So
yes,
my Hulk 150, max him out a long time ago. You had some catching up to do, but so do the rest of my Avengers, right? Those characters. So we jumped in this ourselves, and then I brought 2 of my own crew with me. Didn't pan out so well. But dude, when we rolled in there with a level, I think the lowest one was level 147, power level I'm talking. And then overall, right, you maxed out at 150. That's where a lot of us sat at. Then, like we plowed through this thing, I bet you, Steven, probably half hour to 45 minutes, right? But it was it was a quick event, a good time, a little cool story bit, but I think the best thing about it is it kind of really pulled me back into Avengers. It made me want to grind out some of my other characters that I haven't been grinding out and get me ready for War of Wakanda. Dude, I'm excited. It had me all set up now, and I can't wait for more content. This is fantastic.
Oh, I totally agree. But I will say to other people as well, if you're planning on doing this by yourself, you got a crew of 4 people with the level 150, and you'll have so much fun. Because the other thing I found as well when I was down, they just keep mortar bombing me and different stuff. And when they come to revive me, the AIs, they were down as well. So that was the only kind of the glitchy things I had on that front of this new event.
Sure.
But how about you? Did you have any more glitches or anything? Or
I did have one concern, right? Like I started the event with a bunch of randoms, and everybody on the world either locked up, froze up, or did the T-pose. And I was just like, man, there's just some unfortunate glitches that are still going on within the game that I'm hoping that they could just polish that up and make it a seamless experience, right? We get into the final battle with the boss. No secret here, it's Monica, let's be honest. And like her situation when she multiplies these 8 characters, they're T-posing as well. And it's just like, man, like that shouldn't be happening. Her character's just standing still and you're just beating her up to get onto the next part of the story point. But it's just unfortunate and it's just not necessary to be there. I've had a great time, Steve, but just some unfortunate glitches.
Yes, definitely.
All right, Steve, you have final thoughts on the latest event coming into Marvel's Avengers?
Oh, yes. I definitely recommend it, but believe me, do that grind because the next DLC we're both looking forward to, it's going to be a lot longer than 2 hours or 4 hours. I've heard it could be 7.5. I think I covered it in the news not long ago. They reckon it's going to be 7.5 hours long.
Nice.
And we've also got Christopher Judge as the voiceover, Mr. Kratos. So I definitely recommend, and I really enjoyed this one.
I did too. I had a good time. It felt great to be back in the world of Avengers, and it now has me going back to level up more of my other characters to get ready for when we get into the War of Wakanda. Don't miss out.
The Cosmic Cube DLC for Marvel's Avengers is a must to play, but if you're not at the recommended power level, then be prepared to put in some hours to level up. It'll be worth it though, as War of Wakanda DLC drops soon, and you'll need that higher power level. There's a lot of big gaming news out recently, whether it's the Activision Blizzard's lawsuit down to the Halo Infinite's technical beta testing over the weekend. But there's one thing you might not be aware of. There's a brand new handheld console that's just been released, and I'm not talking about the Steam Deck. This is actually called Playdate by a Swedish company called Panic. Now the Playdate was first introduced 2 years ago when it featured on the cover of Edge magazine. The Playdate features a black and white 1-bit screen for display, as well as a 4-way directional pad, 2 game buttons and a mechanical crank on the side to serve as controls. Games for the handhelds will be released in seasons, with a new game being sent over Wi-Fi each week. A total of 24 games are in the first season, 2 released per week, all included in the price of the console. There's a USB-C charging port, a headphone jack and a mono speaker that fires directly at your face. Well, the pre-orders for the Playdate was released in July this year, and already in 20 minutes they sold 20,000 units. And Panic's already mentioning now, if you're interested in getting this console, then you'll have to get your pre-orders now for next year. But also, just one thing to bear in mind, so if you want to buy this handheld console, it actually will cost you $179 US. So it's also that to bear in mind.
Alright, so this week I'm bringing some big news in regard to Sony. Actually, it's really not big news at all because this is something that was made into a big deal that's not at all. So, Sony released the fact that they actually went down in PS Plus member subscription by 1.3 million users. That sounds like a lot of people, yes, but when you compare that to like the almost 50 million users that they have on PS Plus, it's really not too much, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, everything's starting to open up again, people are starting to go back to work, so to see a little dip like this, I mean, even one of the heads of PlayStation said himself, it's nothing of too much concern. But what do you guys think? Do you think out of having 50 or so million PS Plus members and over 104 million active PlayStation users, you think this 1.3 million dip is a surprise, or that is something that they need to worry about? Like I said, do not think so at all. Please let us know on our Discord or on our website what you guys think about all this.
Gaming on tablets has never been comfortable. You know what, there's companies out there that have tried to make, using the touch buttons on a tablet easier, whether it be, controllers of some kind or just using an external controller completely and just setting up the tablet as a screen. Well, the company GameSir has released an F7 claw controllers that actually click onto the side of your device and use kind of an interesting technology. There's some mappable buttons on the backs of the controllers, and they kind of hold just like a Switch controller would on the side of your device. Makes your device a little more, easier to hold, easier to handle. And I just thought this was kind of an interesting product because you don't see a ton of them out there, because a lot of people, don't really necessarily think that mobile gaming is as big as it really is, and it's huge. I mean, there's so many mobile games out there, especially even in the competitive world. So we're starting to see a lot of these third-party kind of devices come out there because people are looking to kind of step up their mobile gaming. And on the, the platform of a tablet, whether it's an iPod or an iPad or, even an Android tablet, sometimes it can be a little cumbersome, especially with all those touch controls. So what they've kind of done here at GameSir with this F7 claw controller is these click onto the side of your device and have these kind of arms that click over the top, which is the one part of the controller I think might be its biggest downfall, is that this covers up part of your screen. But the idea is that the buttons on the controller, as you click them, will actually act as like your fingers touching those buttons on screen. So a lot of mobile games, if you didn't know, you can actually map some of those buttons out so you can put them on the screen where it's comfortable for you to reach. And so what this controller is designed to do is take advantage of being able to map those locations out so you can put them off into the sides of the screen where these arms click over, and then you can use it like you're using a controller. I thought that's a really cool way to kind of bring that tactile feel to that platform. And you know what, honestly, I know there's probably things people aren't going to like about this. The fact is that these arms that click over are probably your biggest hindrance, whether it covers up something on the screen or you're playing a game that doesn't have controls that can be mapped. It's kind of useless in that sense, and you still have to use your thumbs to kind of use your sticks on the screen, which is, takes away from that tactile feel. And it does look like maybe, depending on the game, those arms that click over could get in your way, maybe possibly. So I'm sure there's going to be iterations of this as it comes, but it's really nice to see them kind of jump out there and look at the mobile platform and go, hey, we can make this kind of a step above, and this is a really good look. So GameSir F7 claw controller, if you're looking to step up your tablet gaming, you got to check this thing out. Scott, this week we're getting our iron rings in Hello Engineer. Scott, like I said, this week we're checking out Hello Engineer. This game is in the same universe as the Hello Neighbor series. And I mean, we'll say in the same universe. I won't say it's much closer than that. But honestly, this is kind of an interesting game. It's a kind of a machine building challenge game with some PvP, PvE mixed in there as well. I mean, other than the initial graphical style of the game, I didn't really pull any noticeable, similarities to the Hello Neighbor series. Yeah. I mean, this game, I jumped right into the challenge mode, and essentially all it is a series of levels where you have to traverse a certain part of the environment with a vehicle that you have built or partially built or, done certain things with. And as you kind of go through these challenges, you learn how these machines get put together and how these certain parts kind of connect with each other. It's very Connects Lego-ish style as far as how you build these things. They don't go into a ton of explanation on how this all works. We were playing this on Stadia, so I was playing on mouse and keyboard. I believe you did the same.
Yeah.
I know this game is also controller compatible, but I think would have been a lot more difficult on controller as far as, there is quite a bit of precision required when you're building, these machines or these vehicles. And I kind of had a difficult time with, kind of clicking these pieces together every once in a while. What did you think kind of jumping into this?
Well, I had a very similar experience. When it comes to putting the parts onto the other parts, they have to be connected right. That's the whole aspect of the game. And not only that, but there's a lot of menus to navigate as well, to select the right part, to make it larger or smaller, to rotate items and that sort of thing. And it wasn't that it was not well set up. I think that's probably the best way they could have done it, but just with the mouse and keys, it was very cumbersome to kind of select the right aspect to tweak. And then once I did, and I kind of figured out what I'm doing to put these things together, it was again kind of another hurdle to pilot that monstrosity through a bog or over a bridge or whatever the challenge would be. I thought the challenges were kind of imaginative, but it's very limited on challenge mode. It's literally just put the wheels on, make it super tall or something to navigate around obstacles, and then hit the finish line. It's not terribly complicated in that regard.
No, and you know what? Outside of the challenge mode, there is kind of a sandbox mode where you can jump in and just kind of create whatever you want. And I think the people that will thrive with this game are the people that have that kind of creative touch, or somebody that wants to really dig into how these machines work and kind of, you know, build these huge, monstrous kind of vehicles or whatever it may be. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, like you said, a lot of customization when it comes to the different parts you can use and the parts you unlock as you kind of go through here. Then there's also a multiplayer mode where you can actually jump in with other people and build vehicles together, and then you can battle together. There's also a PvE mode where you can also battle kind of bots and style like that, which I thought was kind of interesting. But again, we kind of had this discussion before the review, is we're not really entirely sure who this game's made for. I mean, the challenge mode, like you said, it's kind of set up as good as it can be set up, but it is a little overcomplicated as far as, you know, what you have to do just to even run the very short challenge that they all kind of end up being. It doesn't feel really as rewarding as you want it to be when you kind of put all that effort into building this machine, and then you spend less than 10 seconds traversing the obstacles, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, that took me an hour to build that and I got across, you know. And it just, to me, I felt like that throughout this game. I just didn't really feel that accomplished, and you know, it made it hard to want to jump back in and just kind of do these challenges, or, you know, maybe jump into the multiplayer, even the sandbox mode where you're free to do whatever you want. I mean, there's no reward for me here. You put it together, and like you said, it is a little cumbersome, and that was enough for me to want to kind of bounce out and not, you know, stay in for long play sessions. And honestly, that was probably my biggest gripe with this game, is that it really didn't enthrall me like I wanted to, just because it was overcomplicated.
Yeah, for the most part, the curiosity about how this is related to Hello Neighbor, or Forgotten, or Secret Neighbor rather, there's not much tying it together, and that was kind of what I was continuing on for. Maybe there'll be some sort of explanation, or perhaps the game type kind of changes, but it just never really does. And I think the only connection that this has with Hello Neighbor is the graphics, of course, and maybe one or two characters that you can see walking around, or yourself, but there's not really much of a solid foundation to put this game on. It leaves us questioning, who was this made for? Who asked for this kind of idea? But I can't fault them for being creative or trying to make something new in that space, but it just didn't really land with myself.
All right, Scott, I think, you know, I've built about as much as I can handle in this one. Hello Engineer, like you said, is a creative game, but I don't know, it just being overcomplicated for me just was the biggest reason why I didn't kind of continue on or really want to dig deeper into this game. If I had to give it a score out of 10, man, I'm going to give it a 2. What do you got?
Yeah, I feel very similar to that. It's interesting, it's a good concept, but it just kind of doesn't flow very well when it comes to playing and controlling your character. So that hurts it a lot. I think of this game with a lot of likeness to Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. And I think that one kind of is a little more user-friendly. So, just like you, I'm there with a 3. An extensive construction system with creative challenge mode, but ultimately dull with little action.
Rainbow Six Siege Extraction was delayed, but Ubisoft wasn't to be outdone. They're giving us an event in Rainbow Six Siege with containment. So the guys and I were live over on twitch.tv/theofficialitg to check it out.
Watch
Oh,
out.
yeah, they're through the wall.
On my way.
Let's see him.
All three up there?
I'm down. Sophia's up there, yeah.
Is she in the window?
No, she's actually inside.
Oh, really?
Over there.
She was actually by the hive.
Oh yeah, somebody's.
Where is that, Scott?
Oh, behind me too.
Oof.
Oh, yeah. Run! Nice.
Good job, Nate. One more to go, boys. Where are they?
Window.
Yeah, they're in the window.
I'll just wait them out on that one.
It's just, you just run back and forth like they did?
Oh,
Yeah.
Scott.
Oh, he ran away.
No, he left.
No, he didn't. Oh, he's still there.
Oh, is he? Yeah, he's not gonna do anything. He's not coming in.
No kill for you, bucko. Oh, he got us.
Yeah, man. I only had 13 health. I was like,
I didn't even get him.
swings in.
I didn't even land that hit.
Oh, man, that's funny.
I haven't actually used Flores yet. When you do the start drone phase, does he just use his explosive drone?
No, he gets regular camera drone.
He has both drones.
He gets what, 3? He gets 3, doesn't he? His own.
Yep.
Wow. Sounds about right.
They don't do that much damage to players though. Like
No, it's more like the utilities, breaking shields, flushing out people.
I think for that works pretty well. All right, nothing upstairs.
No, nothing.
I just don't understand why like Twitch gets no love.
Yeah, no, I agree. Her guns are great, but she gets no love.
Her drones, man, they should be able to jump with them at this point. I think.
I agree. That's the worst part.
But you can jump with
What is-
Flores, right? So it's like.
Yeah, the massive flipping drone, and then you can't. I'm scared, Sarge. Ah!
We all going in the front door here?
Yeah.
I went around the backside, but I'll come join you guys.
Blasted that guy. Oh, he's going right next to you, Cory. Somewhere in the staircase. Oh yeah.
You guys get that guy?
Yeah, I got him.
Oh, sorry, Scott. I threw a flashbang at you.
I'm blind.
Me too.
All right, we're good. I chased that guy over in there.
Destroy that thing, boys.
Nice.
Oh, he's in here.
He got me.
He's at. Did you get him?
I got him.
They're
I got
outside.
2 on me here.
They're outside. They've just come in. They're like in the reception area.
Oh man, I was shooting the hive. He
come
dropped it on me.
man. I couldn't get the melees off. I ran out of bullets.
Oh, Nate, you gotta find some other way to get there, buddy.
There was 2 down there, bro.
Nice.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
Oh,
come on! You just took him down too as he hit you.
Nice try, Nate.
Nice
Nice try.
try, man.
Man.
That looked pretty cool.
It did. As if he still got the tackle off, and you guys shot him with the bullet at the same. Like, I'm surprised one didn't get canceled. You know?
Yeah, I know. We hit the
wild.
input at the same time. Wow.
Where do we want to go this time?
That garage worked?
It worked.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
doors, boys.
Do we not get the garage doors?
I'm getting them there now, but
All right.
might need a hand.
Uh-oh.
Third panel.
Coming.
Oh, by the time we get there, you're gonna be
Yeah.
done.
Good job, Cory. Keep it up. Oh man, it's like what the?
Wait, you're Port Dover over here?
Yeah. Holy Scott.
All day, every day, man. I don't know what's up.
Right here, guys.
Nice.
Gotta be hatching here. Okay. Oh. Oh, they did get me. I didn't realize I dropped into 3 of them. I got 1 out of 3.
I gotta get out of here. Ah. Right, boys. IQ's at that, I don't even know what, east entrance.
Yeah.
Main floor. She was.
Huh. They have recordings placed around talking about the world. That's cool. Oh, they got one of the hives.
Final objective is losing armor. React has 1 op.
Oh, boys, he's on the main stairs. Oh, behind you. Oh,
Nice. Did you just ace that round?
Oh man. Whew.
Did you just ace that round?
I think I might have.
Oh, Scott got a kill. Scott got a kill that round.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, before he died. Yeah. Nicely done, boys. Good job.
Hey, finally.
It took us all night, but we got there.
Win.
Ace. Good job, guys.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll see you everybody back tomorrow with ITG Daily. See yas. That'll wrap up today's episode. Thank you for hanging out with us. And as always, you can be a part of our show. All you have to do is head to insidethegame.ca or hit us up in Discord, where there you can submit your clip and end off our show. This week, we have one of our own. It's Parker50, lighting it up in Fallout 76. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week inside the game.